Welcome back to Miss LaFond's Story Corner. I'm Harper LaFond, and this is my fifth book critique. The feature text that I have chosen for this book critique is Harlem. Harlem, written by Walter Dean Myers and illustrated by his son Christopher Myers, is a collection of poems about the people and culture of Harlem. These poems touch on several important cultural topics such as origins, looks, skin color, clothes, leisure, food, influential individuals, religion, music, and art. Through poetic elements such as vivid imagery and personification, Myers tells of the past pain suffered by African Americans. However, he also tells of the great hope they have for the future in this wonderful place called Harlem. The first lesson I've created is a third grade social studies lesson based on Ohio's learning standards. So this is really meant to help students start thinking about culture and thinking beyond themselves. So the teacher will conduct a mini lesson on culture, and then they will have a class discussion on different cultural elements, specifically the cultural elements of Harlem. And then the students can do some more research on Harlem and learn more about this neighborhood. So students are going to compare and contrast the culture in Harlem with their own cultures in their own neighborhoods. And they're going to do this by creating Venn diagrams. So then in small groups, students are going to discuss their Venn diagrams. And really, at this stage, the teacher should just be sure to facilitate the students' conversations to avoid against any bias or stereotyping and use these conversations as teachable moments. So then students are going to share their Venn diagrams on Creatables.com with a wider audience, and then they're also going to connect with other cultures by using Beluga.org, which is a really neat tool where students can collaborate with other classes around the world. So here's an example of the Venn diagram that I created comparing Harlem in my own neighborhood. And then here is Creatables.com, and here's Beluga.org. Again, it's a really neat tool. The second lesson I've created is a fourth grade English language arts lesson based on the Common Core state standards. So Harlem is a collection of poems, and so this can really be used as a springboard for a lesson on poetry. The teacher can conduct a mini lesson on poetry and then explain some of the elements within Harlem that make it really great poetry. So students are then going to do some research and select poems that are written by African American authors, and they're going to do this using poetryfoundation.org. And then in small groups, they're going to read their poems to their peers, and then each small group is going to select a poem. And after they do this, they're going to create videos to bring their poems to life, and they can do this by using Bitable.org, or .com, excuse me. And then they're going to share their videos with the class. And then they're going to create a class-wide Weebly where they can upload all their videos and all their poems that they selected individually and create a kind of archive for others to view and to benefit from. So here is poetryfoundation.org, and this is the poem that I chose, For My People by Margaret Walker. And here's a Bitable that I created based on this poem. I will include the link down below. And here's Weebly.com where students will create their class website. So moving on to the other texts. Crow Call is a story about reuniting and reconnecting. In the book, author Lois Lowry recounts her own experience of bonding with her father when he returns from war. Together, father and daughter venture out into the woods one fall morning to go crow hunting. Lowry pays particular attention to detail in her retelling, painting a beautiful picture of her relationship with her father. In the book, My Friend Rabbit by Eric Roman, a mouse tells the story of his friend who is a rabbit. When Rabbit gets their plane stuck in a tree, he tells Mouse not to worry. Rabbit drags all sorts of animals, both big and small, to the tree and stacks them on top of each other to get the plane. After toppling to the ground, the animals are not happy at all. However, Mouse does not forget to mention that while his friend Rabbit is a troublemaker, he still loves him all the same. Noah's Ark is a book about the biblical story of Noah and the flood. Through descriptive language and beautiful illustrations, author and illustrator Jerry Pinkney describes the building of the ark, the gathering of the animals, and the 40 days and 40 nights spent in the flood. Most importantly, he tells of God's promise to man to never send another flood so great. Pinkney captures the beauty of this popular Bible story and makes it come alive through his retelling. No David by David Shannon is a book about a mischievous young boy named David. David is always getting into trouble, and his mother is always telling him, "No, David." However, despite the number of times David's mother has to tell him no, she doesn't forget to remind him of the unconditional love she has for him. Raindrop Splash, written by Alvin Tressel and illustrated by Leonard Weisgard, is a story about the effects of rain on the environment. The author demonstrates the impact that one small raindrop can have by detailing the chain of events that occur due to heavy rain. Brimming lakes, significant flooding, and wet cows are just a few of the things affected by the rain. However, as the author reminds the reader, no matter how much it rains, the sun always comes out in the end. The Song of the Water Boatman and Other Pond Poems, written by Joyce Sidman and illustrated by Becky Prang, is a unique book describing the various inhabitants of ponds. The author pays tribute to the birds, frogs, bugs, fish, and plants that contribute to a pond's ecosystem. This is a very unique book because it is both scientific and artistic, containing factual information about the different animals and short poems describing them. The author and illustrator do a fantastic job portraying the harmony that exists within the pond. And finally, Wonder by R.J. Palacio is a story about friendship, acceptance, and forgiveness. When 10-year-old Augie enters school for the first time, he is very nervous. Not only is he nervous because he has been homeschooled his whole life, but he's also nervous because he has a facial deformity and is worried about what the other kids will think of him. However, while Augie faces his fair share of struggles, he also has his great victories. He makes great friends, has great experiences, and rises above his fears, reaching a new level of confidence. Thanks for watching.